Recommending a wine to a dining guest is a familiar role in the hospitality industry. This presentation will illustrate some of the backgrounds and techniques associated with this important skill. We will learn interesting facts about wine and serving, but first we will begin by learning a bit of the history of the wine. Winemaking dates back to ancient times, and it was often used as part of religious ceremonies. Therefore, religion has a role in determining how wine was produced. This is reflected today as we see vineyards named after saints such as Saint Julian and Saint Joseph. New World wines, as they're known, begin with Christopher Columbus setting foot in the Americas and introducing grape seeds from Spain. Christian missionaries further developed winemaking by introducing the process of fermentation. And that is exactly how the Old and the New World of wine denomination was initiated. Old World refers to traditional regions in Europe and the Middle East, while New World refers to countries in the Americas, Africa, and Oceania. There are many geological and weather conditions that are studied before deciding where grapes should be planted and if they will flower at all. Viticulture is the study of the science of growing grapes for winemaking. The connection of the soil and the sun also impact on the flavor and quality of the grapes. Not enough sun or too much rain can have a major effect on the grapes, and plagues can appear to ruin the plantation. It had happened in the best vineyards around the world. After grapes are harvested, crushed, and fermented, the resulting wine is then aged. It is the job of the enologist or winemaker to basically assemble the wine, including how much time to be aged and the type of barrel to be used. Not all the wines are created equal. White wines are fermented without skin. Red wines and rosé wines are both fermented with skin, which is what gives color to the wine. While there are many factors that can contribute to the wine's body, the main factor is the alcohol that is produced by the fermentation of the grapes. Alcohol is what gives a wine its viscosity and is responsible for the feel we experience when we sip a wine. The sight is the actual first step in tasting wine. It should be a visual inspection under neutral lighting. Admire the color, move the glass around to observe the legs of the wine. You don't really need to spend more than 5 seconds on this step. By appreciating the wine, you will notice primary aromas that come from the grape and include fruits, herbs, and floral notes. Secondary aromas come from winemaking practices such as adding yeast. Tertiary aromas come from aging, and it occurs in oaks and later in the bottle. On the third step, your tongues can detect salty, sour, sweet, or bitter flavors. Your tongue can touch the wine and perceive its texture. The taste of the wine also has a beginning, a middle flavor, and an ending flavor. When taking a wine order, it should always be repeated back to the guest to ensure accuracy. You might also ask the guest to indicate the exact wine on the menu by pointing to it. There is no disputing that old world wine labels are not easy to decipher. The reason is that old world wines emphasize the region and origin, or so-called terroir, rather than the specific grape variety. Grapes variety can show very different expressions of styles and flavors depending on the wine region. New World labels are much less confusing because it's normally very easy to tell what grapes variety is actually in the bottle. The average room temperature is usually too warm to store and serve wine. The warmer the ambient temperature, the quicker the wine will age and go bad. Once you have selected a wine, cover the bottle in your hand by the bottom, lying in your arm. The wine should be presented to the guest within 5 minutes after ordering. When presenting the wine, you should mention vintage, producer, grape origin, and the vineyard. For example, this is the 2009 Penfolds Cabernet Shiraz from South Australia. Throughout uncorking, the wine label should always face the guest. Point the corkscrew in the center of the cork and turn clockwise until the spiral is almost completely inserted. Grab the cork and gently wiggle it until it's removed from the bottleneck. There should be no popping noise when the cork is removed. Offer the cork to the guest to check the aroma. Place the cork in in front of the guest on the right side, just above where the knife is located on the table setting. The action is similar to this scene from a James Bond film where the waiter serves Bond a glass of Moet Rothschild. For tasting, pour approximately 1 ounce of wine. Upon approval, pour approximately 3 ounces for each of the remaining guests in a clockwise direction before topping up the taster glass. Wine should always be poured using open-handed service with the label facing the guest. Once you complete the first serving, place the wine on the table with the label facing the guest, in the most central but less obstructive location. Always be prompt with refills and pour the wine throughout the entire meal, unless the guest has indicated that will pour the wine themselves. I hope you enjoyed my first Pecha Kucha presentation. The images were retrieved from the website listed on the screen. Thank you for listening. Cheers!